Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of RiesKitchen. Today we're making a rustic berry tart, perfect to show off the seasonal berries for this time of year, which is summer here in Melbourne. Let's get straight into it. There's not too many ingredients in front of us today. So first up, I have a bought sheet of prepared puff pastry. In my case, of course, it's gluten-free. Eggs, balsamic vinegar, full cream milk, caster sugar in a vanilla pod, knob of butter, lime and corn flour. And then the berries I've chosen are strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and a little bit of raspberry jam just to make our glaze. So first up, let's get our pastry case. Now the beauty of using pre-made pastry, someone's done most of the hard work for us, but I am just going to, very carefully, I'm going to roll it out just a little bit thinner than it is now because I want it to be 30 centimetres long. And using my trusty ruler right now, it is sitting at 23. So I don't have to do much to it. I just want to make it just a little bit. So that's pretty close. That's it. So now that I'm at 30 centimetres long, I'm going to just mark it for 15 centimetres wide. Okay. Now I want to be really careful when I move this piece onto my parchment here. So just roll it onto your rolling pin and then pop it down. And now I'm going to cut the leftover bit into 3 strips. Each one will be a centimetre or 2 centimetres wide. Let's make them 2. So now I've just separated one of those eggs and I just want the yolk, and with about a tablespoon of water, I'm just going to give it a whip, and I'm just going to brush the edge about 2 centimetres in so that I can then stick our strips on. So this is basically forming the glue. So now we're just going to lay our strips down on top of the egg yolk. And what this will do is when all of that beautiful butter in this pastry puffs up, it's going to form the little edges or the casings. So now I'm just going to wash the edges again. This is going to help them go lovely and brown. And we don't want the base of our tart to rise up, so I'm just going to use a fork and almost to the bottom, just press all over. So we pop this into the fridge now for at least 20 minutes to half an hour, just to chill the pastry down. You get the better, crisper result before we bake it. So now's the perfect opportunity for us to start making our creme patisserie, or creme pat in slang. So what I'm going to do is pop our milk into a saucepan, and I'm going to pop in our half a vanilla pod. So now I'm going to pop our pod and all those beautiful seeds into our milk. Now I'm going to pop this on a really gentle heat until bring it straight up to simmer. As soon as it's just at simmer point, turn it off, take it off the heat, and we need to let it infuse for about 20 minutes. So while the milk is being infused with the beautiful vanilla pods, I've got our egg yolk here, the second egg yolk. Now I know it looks like it's too big a bowl, but we're going to add the milk in a minute, so don't make the mistake of going too small. And I've just added the sugar. I'm just going to whisk that through, and it'll go thick and pale. That's lovely and thick. So now I'm just going to gradually add the corn flour. Now be careful because you will end up with lumps, so just do it bit by bit. So now I'm just going to whip out our vanilla pod, and then we're going to pour about half the milk into our eggs here. And whisk that in. So now we're just going to add our custard base back into the milk. And we're going to put this on a low heat now and just keep whisking until it starts to thicken. It will take a few minutes, so don't be impatient and put the gas too high. You just want it gentle. You can really feel it starting to thicken under your whisk and you start to leave trails, and that's when you know you're close. So once it's started to leave the trails, take it off the heat. There'll be a fair bit of heat still sitting in your saucepan. And just keep whisking for another 3 or 4 minutes. You want it to go nice and glossy, but you don't want to risk any lump forming. We're just going to pop it into a small bowl here. Now because it's a custard, it's going to form a skin. So if you just get a knob of cold butter, and I know this feels really odd, but just rub it over the top. And then we just leave this now to cool on the bench. So there's one more step before we can start putting this magnificent tart together, and that's reducing our balsamic vinegar. I'm just going to pop it into a pot, and I want to reduce it down to about half, till it becomes really thick and sticky. So I've reduced this down now to about half. It becomes quite thick and sticky as it cools, and that's what we want to line our cooked pastry. So now we're going to pop our cold pastry into the oven at 160 degrees fan forced for about 20 minutes till it's lovely and golden. So I've brought this out of the oven now, and you can see it's lovely and golden brown. Of course, those of you using ordinary pastry will have had something a bit puffier, but for gluten-free this is looking pretty good. And I'm literally just going to slide my paper across. So as our crust starts to cool, I'm just going to brush it with our slightly sticky, gooey balsamic, just on the base. This helps keep the bottom crisp when you put the fruit and custard on, or creme pat. So now that our pastry case is lovely and cool, I'm just going to finish off our creme patisse. So I'm going to add to the creme patisse the zest of half the lime and a teaspoon of the lime juice. Give it a quick stir and you can see how well that's thickened up. So carefully now we're going to pop our creme pat onto our tart base. And now we're just going to evenly spread that out across the bottom. And now the fun begins, we get to decorate. Lucky last step is to make our glaze. So I'm just going to heat up some raspberry jam. So for the last flurry, now we just get our warmed jam and we just brush the top of our fruit and it just makes them glisten. And with that last little bit of lime, I'm just going to just top a little bit across the top just to help with that acidity. Now I know this looks ready to cut up and serve right now, but it will be best if we let it sit in a cool place for 20 minutes just to let that creme patisserie fully firm up. Oh, I can't wait. Now for all the details of today's recipe, don't forget to check out my blog at the link below. But as always, the best bit's in the eating. The pastry is so crisp, even gluten-free. The creme pat is creamy and that little bit of lime just pops. Altogether, this is a really delicious dessert. Until next time, everybody, Ciao.